Hello, everybody, and welcome to From the Mezzanine, the Broadway podcast for the Broadway fans. Here we talk about all things Broadway news, Broadway grosses, and let's be honest, all of the tea and gossip that is happening week to week in the Broadway stratosphere. And I am your host, Lindsay Stone. Thank you so much for joining me on From the Mezzanine this week, Broadway Besties. How is everybody doing? I'm in like a weird funk with Broadway right now because it did me dirty, which we will talk about in our Broadway news. Not me personally. Well, actually, yes, kind of me personally. So we will get to that. And in a way, we're kind of getting to it right now. But I gotta tell y'all, we're gonna look on the bright side. Okay, let me just address the elephant in the room. Such a shame. I'm really, really sad to report that Rob Blake Magic is closing early on Broadway. Yes, it is one of our news stories, and yes, we will get to that and dive more into our feelings towards that. But some of the Broadway besties may know, this is my first Broadway show I've gotten to work on, and my name is in the playbill. Very, very special, very exciting for me. So it's very sad that it is making a very untimely exit from Broadway when it deserves a life that it should have had. However, my experience with the dear Rob Blake Magic has been extraordinary. It's been magical. It's been incredible, especially this past week when I got to meet one of my favorite Broadway people ever, Mr. Andrew Rannells. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe I got to meet him. And I'm going to tell y'all everything. So if you haven't seen Rob Blake Magic, which I hope if you wanted to, you were able to, because it was really genuinely such a good show. But every single show, there was a special guest. And this past Friday, the iconic Andrew Rannells was the special guest. I, of course, have been in love with Andrew Rannells since Book of Mormon. I believe that the Lord God created the universe. I believe. Like, that song was a big part of like my high school experience. I loved the Book of Mormon soundtrack. And then it was only compounded by the fact that the second I moved to New York City, who comes to Broadway but Andrew Rannells and Josh Gad in a comedic show, musical together, Gutenberg. Okay. The longtime Broadway besties likely know, I saw Gutenberg 6 times. I wish I would have seen it 7, 8, 9, 10 times because it was one of the best musicals, seriously, I've ever seen. So hysterical. Their comedic chemistry was incredible and can be compared to that of Cara Lindsay and Laura Bell Bundy and Romeo and Michelle right now, might I add. And they had a special guest every single night, which was one of the big reasons I saw it as many times as I did, because they would tease it and they said, oh, somebody who wrote Hamilton is going to be our special guest tonight. Like, who else could that be other than Lin-Manuel Miranda? So, of course, we saw it that night. So, and I saw the first preview. Like, I love Gutenberg. And then, of course, one of my favorite TV shows ever is Girls Five Ever. And Andrew Rannells was in that. He was Busy Phillips' husband, and he was so funny in that. So Andrew Rannells is seriously just like one of my all-time favorite people, favorite Broadway performers. I love him. I am in love with him. And so whenever I got word that he was going to be special guest, it has been known, dibs. After they would go on stage, they would go back to the green room and have a lovely little moment with Rob Blake. And so then we would go with them and capture the moment. Beautiful, stunning. What a absolute incredible opportunity to meet some of these Broadway legends. Last week, I got to go backstage with J. Harrison Gee, and that was amazing. I still question myself every time. J. Harrison Gee. J. Harrison Gee. G. I think it's G. I was able to tell them, you are an absolute legend. I loved you. Actually, I didn't see them in Some Like It Hot. But I feel like I did because I watched so many clips of them performing it and they were Tony awarded for it. But I actually saw Jay's understudy in Some Like It Hot. I'm actually just now realizing that. I totally thought that I had seen them, but I didn't. I saw their amazing understudy, who's also in Romeo and Michelle right now. Might I just continue to drop Romeo and Michelle because I love that musical so much, and not enough people are going to see it? And for some reason, it has a bad rap, but it shouldn't. It's amazing, and it was exactly what it is. It's so comedic. Anyway, stay on topic, Lindsay. So, got to go backstage with Andrew Rannells. We're standing in that green room. Vibes are immaculate. Him and Rob, they're chatting. They're having a great conversation. Rob's thanking him, lovely. Andrew turns to me, reaches out his hand, says, "Hi, I'm Andrew." Lindsay screams internally. I say, "I'm Lindsay." And in that moment, I wanted to say so much more, but I just left it at that. "I'm Lindsay." And then he continues talking to Rob. And I was anxious because they say never meet your heroes. And so I was nervous. But wow, wow, wow. If your hero is Andrew Rannells, meet him, because he's everything. He is the kind of person who in a room, if he doesn't know you, he is going to reach out his hand and shake your hand and get to know you. And I told him, I said, "I love you so much. I'm your biggest fan." I don't think that's what I said exactly. I think I probably said, "I just think you should know that I am the biggest fan of yours. Gutenberg changed my life." And he talked about Gutenberg. He was like, because we had the same photographer for Rob Lake as we had for, or as they had for Gutenberg, because nightly with a special guest, somebody would capture it. Same for Rob Lake. So they were talking about Gutenberg, and he was like, "That was a fun one. That was a good one. We had a lot of fun." And then he told us this whole ping pong story with oh my God, Jane Krakowski and apparently her son in the basement of Gutenberg. They had a ping pong table, and her son flew across the room trying to play ping pong, and it was just crazy. Anyways, got a personal story from Andrew Rannells, and I probably laughed way too hard at it just because I was just freaking out because I love him so much. And I was really happy I got to have the chance to tell him how much I love him. And then before we ended our moment, I was like, "Can we please have a photo with you? I'm sorry. I just have to take this moment to ask that." And since that time, I have been staring at that photo of me next to Andrew Rannells, looking so cute, constantly. I can't stop looking at the photo. I can't believe that it exists. I've never gotten more DMs on my Instagram than when I posted that on my story. Y'all get it. Y'all understand how much that moment meant to me. And I really, really, really appreciate that. It was huge. It was huge. He was so much nicer than I could have even imagined. And I just I can't believe that happened. It was life-changing. I will never be the same. And I am now somehow an even bigger Andrew Rannells fan than I was before. I did bring my Gutenberg hat to the show. I didn't necessarily know why I was bringing it. I just knew I needed it there. And I thought, oh, maybe he can sign it if the moment presents itself. Or maybe since we're doing the social for Rob Lake, I thought, okay, maybe we can do some sort of TikTok trend with it. But we didn't end up doing that. And I got embarrassed to have my Gutenberg hat. So I didn't even bring it into the room with Andrew Rannells, but I did wear it in the audience when he went on stage to do his Kermit card trick. I did wear my Gutenberg hat because I guess I wanted some validation and I wanted to feel like I was the biggest Andrew Rannells fan there, even though I was probably the only one who knew he was going to be there. But that scream when he was announced to be the special guest, huge, huge. Everybody just lost it. And apparently he had the biggest reaction from the crowd yet, which makes sense. It's Andrew Rannells. Okay. Love him so deeply. So blessed to have that opportunity to meet him. I still kind of can't believe that it happened. He is so good looking in real life, so kind in real life, and just took his time with everybody. He didn't seem like he was in a rush. He just was telling us stories and just being so kind and normal and amazing. And I really just could not wish for anything more. It was life-changing and life-affirming. That's truly, yeah, that's the thing. It affirmed why I love him because he's the best. Okay, I gotta tell y'all. I believe I am seeing an early screening of Wicked tomorrow. Tomorrow being Monday, the same day as the Wicked premiere in NYC. I was sent the invitation. I RSVP'd, but I haven't received a confirmation. It is Sunday. So my screening is tomorrow and I don't have confirmation, but I'm maybe just going to show up and hope that I'm on the list if I don't get confirmation. The email did say if you submit your RSVP, you don't need confirmation, just show up. But then in another place on the form, it said you submitting this form does not mean you are invited. So I'm just like a little confused. Hopefully my confirmation will come in, and hopefully this time next week I will have a Wicked for Good review for you guys, unless it's embargoed, which I don't think it is. I think it's just embargoed till the 21st. So we'll see. But yes, very excited about that. But also, might I add, this Wicked press tour is so much quieter than last year. Are y'all all realizing that? I feel like For Good is kind of sneaking up on us. Rather than last year, it was like the most highly anticipated thing. They had drummed up so much excitement, and they had literally interviewed every single journalist on the planet, and they had had all of these viral moments. We haven't really gotten any viral moments aside from last week. A fan, I guess, jumped the barricade and practically mauled Ariana, like jumped to Ariana and was like holding her, and Cynthia Erivo smacked him out of the way and said, "Get away from her, get away from her." And I was like, wow. Oh, to have Cynthia Erivo be your security guard. Very nice. She seems like such a protector and such an alphaba, truly. But that was crazy that somebody managed to do that. Apparently that's his shtick. Like, he runs onto football fields. He has been on stage, like made his way on stage somehow at like Katy Perry and The Weeknd. Like, this is his thing, and he's getting charged for it. So that's good, because you can't just do that and get away with it. That's crazy, insane behavior. And especially to poor, sweet Ariana Grande, who also, like, why was she on the end? Like, she should be in the middle. It was kind of a weird moment. The cast was like holding hands and very slowly walking in sync down like the fan pens at a premiere. And I guess they were like walking weirdly slowly because maybe there were like photographers getting their photos. That's pretty likely. But Ariana should have been in the middle, and like Jeff Goldblum should have been on the outside. But Ariana was on the very edge. But maybe that was intentional too, because like they maybe were like stopping to say hi to fans or get photos. I don't know. Odd situation all around, and definitely not okay for this one fan to maul Ariana, and at least he's getting like legally charged for it. I think that was in Singapore, perhaps. But yeah, the New York City premiere, it is on Monday. So by the time this comes out, the premiere will have already occurred. I hope all of the Broadway besties have their Wicked tickets. I even feel like I have barely been talking about the Wicked press tour, about For Good coming up. The only time I think I've really dug into Wicked For Good was when the trailer was dropped. But other than that, like, we have been really quiet about it, even on From the Mezzanine, just because there hasn't been that much to say. Well, they did announce Coleman Domingo, so we did cover that. But it's just been really, really quiet, which probably is intentional, because last year it almost seemed overwhelming, the amount of like trailers and little bits of the movie that they were releasing, and all of these interviews where they were revealing so much about the movie. Like, I got to the point where I was like, I'm not watching anything else that comes out. I'm not listening to any of these interviews because I don't want anything else revealed for me, because I feel like everything is revealed. However, I do plan on going to Chili's today and getting the Wicked margaritas, which I've heard good things, and they're so cute. So I'm excited about that. And then also I want to watch Wicked today in preparation for hopefully tomorrow when I see it. Still not confirmed. So which is like a little worried about that. And I guess I'll just show up, because like I have the information, but it's not, let me be so clear. It is not the Wicked premiere I'm going to. It's just an early media screening. So it's like I did last year, which is so nice. I'm very excited. Whenever that email came through, I was like, yes, I can't sit around waiting. I really can't. And then I'm seeing it again later this week too. So I'm seeing it twice this week. I also am seeing Spelling Bee this week. Very excited about that, and to report back about that on From the Mezzanine next week. And I did see Two Strangers Karaoke across New York City this past week, but I can't talk about it yet because the reviews are embargoed until next week. So I'm sorry, I have to bite my tongue on Two Strangers. I really wish I could tell the Broadway besties all about it, but I will wait patiently until next week, when I will give y'all the lowdown on Two Strangers, Wicked, and Spelling Bee. It's going to be a very exciting episode, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. This episode is going to be really great too. And let's head on in to our Broadway grosses. Folks, this is for the week ending on November 9th. Our top grossing musical of the week is Hamilton. Very predictable. Top ticket is still $1,500. Good Lord. It's crazy over there. I really want to see it again with Leslie. I really want to do standing room. I say that every week. Wicked is number 2, grossing $2.3 million. And guys, Chess is 3. They beat out Lion King. Oh my gosh. Chess grossed over $2 million with a 96% capacity. And when I am recording this, their opening night is tonight. Yes, I tried to get to that opening night. I did. I sent emails. Unfortunately, they went unresponded to. It's fine. I'm fine. I just thought maybe, just maybe, considering how much promotion I have done of this really incredible musical, maybe I would get rewarded for it. It's all right. Well, it's okay. I'm fine. I'm fine. I just wish. I wanted to be there. But it's okay. Lion King is 4, guys. I cannot believe Chess beat out Lion King. I am so happy. Look, I love Lion King. I do, but I love when new musicals penetrate that top 3. Ooh, feels good. Number 5 is Waiting for Godot with 1.6 million. Y'all see the jump? Hamilton, almost 4 million. Waiting for Godot, 1.6. That is a big difference between the top 1st and 5th musical of this week. Or should I say show? Because Waiting for Godot is not a musical. Art is 6, grossing practically the exact same as Waiting for Godot. Mamma Mia is 7, 99% capacity. Mamma Mia is falling a little bit. I don't think they're falling in their grosses because they are grossing plenty. They have 99% capacity. But I think Chess and Wicked and Hamilton are just making such insane amounts of money that Mamma Mia is just slightly falling below. Just in Time is at our 8th spot, grossing about $1.4 million, 103% capacity. Y'all, this is still one of the hottest tickets on Broadway. Death Becomes Her is 9, and Ragtime is 10. Oh my goodness, okay. So, Darren Criss is back in Maybe Happy Ending, and it is bumped down to 11. Not bad, very good. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child is at 12, so that way we just know how much Harry Potter and the Cursed Child is about to plummet to the top since Tom Felton is now in that show. Let's just take note one more time. They are at 12 in the grosses. Next week, I'm going to predict that they're going to be about 7. You heard it here first. And let's sadly look at our lowest grossing musicals, or just the musicals we want to check in with. Okay. So Chicago is at the bottom, and Two Strangers is also at the bottom, but that's okay. The Long Acre is very small. They are very much so still in previews. Not any indication for how Two Strangers is going to level out. 93% capacity for them. So they are doing A-okay. Any others we need to check in with? Beetlejuice is at 86% capacity. Queen of Versailles, 95% capacity. Not bad. And we will be talking about their opening night reviews here in just a bit. Okay, with that, folks, let's head into our Broadway news stories. With the first one, we are going to touch on what we've already mentioned, that Rob Lake Magic is closing prematurely on Broadway. I am so sad from a personal standpoint. Of course, I've loved working on this show. I've personally met Rob. He's incredible. This is his Broadway dream. This is where he should be. And I just so deeply wish that he could have sustained his run on Broadway. And I'm very, very sad, especially considering the Muppets are in the show. I really think that it should have had a more successful run. And I wish that it had, because I really, really liked this show. I thought the Muppets' involvement was incredible. What a sight to see Fozzie Bear, Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, Gonzo on a Broadway stage being their crazy selves. So much fun. Rob Lake's illusions were incredible. I still don't know how he did so many of them, and I've seen the show 4 times at this point. I just saw it again on Friday. So yeah, I've seen it quite a few times. He is an amazing illusionist. This was an incredible show, especially for families, which we do not have a lot of just 100% family friendly shows on Broadway. And this, it was like my favorite thing about this show, hands down, was watching other people's reactions to seeing Rob's illusions, specifically the kids. There were always so many kids in the audience, and oh my gosh, whenever I knew like a really crazy illusion was about to happen, I would just like look around, and it warmed my heart. Like the other night, which illusion was it? Yeah, I think it was, so he takes rings off of 3 audience members, and he somehow magically connects them all together. And the little boy sitting next to us said, "Mommy, that's impossible." Yeah, it's magic. It's just so cute. It's such a heartwarming show. And I just seriously, if I could have one wish, I wish that it could have stayed on Broadway through its entire run, which would have been through January 18th. But unfortunately, Rob Lake Magic, while I'm recording this, it's closing today on Sunday, November 16th, and it is ending its run early. I'm very sad. I think the Muppets, I would love for them to be on Broadway again. I really hope this isn't the last time Broadway gets to see Kermit and Miss Piggy and Fozzie Bear on Broadway, because, oh my gosh, is it just the coolest thing ever? They are so, so, so cute. Rob Lake, he has worked on various Broadway shows previously. He worked on the Illusions for the Death Becomes Her. He worked on the Illusions for Aladdin, and the Beauty and the Beast national tour. Like, he is very Broadway adjacent. So I do not think this is his last time working for or on Broadway. I hope he gets to come back, because this is just far too soon. I think everybody was entirely shocked by this, being that it was just such an early and quick closing. But I, for one, am drastically heartbroken. I'm devastated that this could not run longer. It should have. It's an amazing show. And for the cast, oh my gosh, I've loved the cast of this show. They are also like just Broadway dreamers, and this is where they deserve to be too. So it's just really, really sad. And I feel like I can't say anything else other than I wish I was not reporting this right now. But I hope that some of the Broadway besties had a chance to see Rob Lake and the Muppets on Broadway. And I know that so many people did love this show. And I think it just brought something to Broadway that we haven't seen in a very long time, which is high level illusions. Very, very exciting, very cool, very different. And guess what? It was the Muppets Broadway debut. So very, very, very momentous. And it will not soon be forgotten. And I think a lot of people are going to be looking for these playbills and their merch and things at the Broadway Flea next year. I'm sad, but I know that it did touch a tremendous amount of people, which is very special as well. This isn't the end for Rob. I can't wait for us to have like another Death Becomes Her that's just chock full of crazy illusions. And Rob Lake's name is going to be all over it, because he's just so highly skilled. Our next Broadway news story, Queen of Versailles had their opening night, and let's talk about the reviews. Also, let's talk about the red carpet. That was so star-studded. We had, of course, Idina Menzel showed out to support Kristen Chenoweth, which wow. How sweet. But I was shocked at so many of the celebrities I saw on that red carpet, primarily because, and this is a little shady, I feel like this has been highly contested. A lot of the word on the street is that this is not a phenomenal show. And I'm surprised that a lot of celebrities aligned themselves with this show at the opening night. But to maybe all of our surprise, the reviews are not that bad. Y'all know I love to look at Broadway World's review roundup to check out my reviews and report them back on the pod. I have not seen The Queen of Versailles yet personally. And so typically if I've seen the show, I won't do the review roundup because I've already given my review. But since I haven't seen it, even though I really, really want to, I'm going to be going through the review roundup. So Queen of Versailles, here's how we break it down. They got 3 good reviews, 12 middle of the road reviews, and then 5 bad reviews. I think a lot of us were thinking it was going to be a lot more bad But middle of the road, that's kind of standard for Broadway these days, especially like new musicals. I feel like they get kind of like shit on by the reviews. So their overall score was like 45%. But it's very important to note, they got the New York Times critics pick. Wild. New York Times not only gave it a good review, but they gave it their critics pick. And here, I'm going to read y'all the review from the New York Times. This is coming from Laura Collins Hughes, who says, quote, Chenoweth is a wonder, sounding a little bit country whenever Jackie is her most self, as in Each and Every Day, a love song to the infant Victoria, taking her high notes out for a spin in the Royal We, a duet with Marie Antoinette, and convincing us for a moment in a turn on a dime song called Grow the Light that Jackie has recalibrated her priorities. Not so. For the central character of this tale, living out her American dream, there is no point of satiation. There is only a vast emptiness that must be filled with more, preferably, of course, dipped in gold, quote. Now, I know that review did not say much about the acting, the caliber of the songs, and anything else critically, but your girl does not have a New York Times subscription anymore, so I can't read the whole entire review. However, from this, I can distinctly tell this reviewer thinks these songs are memorable, thinks that they are well-rounded and vastly different, portraying like a very authentic and clear story. And so I can tell that this is a good review from the New York Times. Not to mention critics pick, which is crazy. Let me remind you guys that Smash got the critics pick last year, and none of us were expecting that either. I don't know what's going on at the New York Times. It's very weird to me because I'm certain everybody was very skeptical of this show going in. And so the fact that that skepticism was just thrown to the wayside and they were like, you know what, we love it. It's really kind of shocking to me, given that majority of the critics gave this a mid review. Speaking of mid-reviews, my next one I want to recap with y'all is coming from Variety magazine. These are like, I always pull the reviews from what I deem to be the most reputable sources, in the fact that I personally typically align with these publications. So yeah, this is coming from Variety magazine, and it's by Aramide Timubu saying, quote, the play's positive components do not make up for its faults. Broadway is the wrong medium for this story. Musicalizing this story does little to ground the audience in Jackie's world and instead pulls and stretches the tale when the themes alone could speak for themselves. The narrative would actually soar if it were given the feature film treatment, quote. Interesting. This is what I have heard from a lot of people who have seen the show, is that it is way too long. It does not need to be as long as it is. Things are really being stretched out, and there's just a lot of filler songs and non-essential songs that drive the plot forward, which is one of my most hated things about a musical. I do not like just plain old filler songs. If something can be tight and short and concise, that is what our very short attention spans want these days. And lastly, Johnny Olesinski, Owelinski. Oh, did I butcher that? Oh gosh, if you look at his name and try to read it, it's so much harder to say. Johnny Olesinski. I don't think I've ever seen that extra K in there. Anyways, we all know him. From the New York Post, he gave this a bad review, and he said, quote, even though the last one sounded bad, this one is actually a bad review. Quote, Arden, who delivers a brilliant new musical with Maybe Happy Ending last season, drops the ball by juggling too many. The sub-Zoom call live videos as the documentary filmmakers shoot an intellectually lazy 1661 frame story at the French court of Louis VIII and Marie Antoinette that should have gotten the guillotine in early development, and unappealing staging on a drab construction site all come to naught, quote. That's crazy. Michael Arden is the best director of our generation. I might think so. He's an amazing director, and I would be shocked if it was his fault that this musical came to naught, because he's amazing and I really like him, and I've met him on a few occasions and I'm charmed by him. He seems excellent. I do think he is a genius director, and I don't think it is his fault of any part of this musical being poor, but also haven't seen it yet, so can't speak super personally to it. But yeah, I'm excited to see this. I need to see Kristen Chenoweth belt on a stage. I want to see her in her element. I will not be surprised if I see this show and I feel like I did for Boop. Like, I feel like initially Boop got like mixed reviews. People were like not liking it, and I fell in love with it. I think I can be charmed by Queen of Versailles. I am going to try my hardest to go in open-mindedly, but it is hard considering everybody is hating on this musical, especially on TikTok. Just the word of mouth is really in the toilet. And I love their marketing. I love the press. I think what they've done visually with this show is so satisfying. Like her with her McDonald's in her pink bedazzled dress, so cute. I love the construction site. Like visually, this musical is my vibe. It seems way over the top, extremely gaudy, and I'm down with that. And you have Kristen Chenoweth at the helm. Like this sounds for a recipe for success, and I am down, and I'm shocked that it's getting such bad word of mouth reviews. The reviews here, I know 45% overall score sounds really terrible, but I think from what we've heard, we all thought it was going to be way worse, and it wasn't. And let's be honest, the New York Times critic pick, that is huge for them. That could be enough to sustain them. And they are selling. Like they had 95% capacity last week. So I think we're all just wanting to like shit on this musical for no reason. Like I think it might have what it takes to be a contender this season. Now, I don't mean Tony-wise. I think it's going to be like a Boop and a smash that fans really enjoyed, but maybe didn't get critically recognized. And I'm not trying to say that I think it's going to last for forever. It's not our next Death Becomes Her, although it could be. But this is a big, big, big musical. People are clearly interested in seeing it. I thought it was going to be like Tammy Faye because I thought, who's heard of the Queen of Versailles? What does that mean? But the way they've marketed it as this larger than life production, I think that's doing well for them. And yes, there's definitely something to be said. Like in the political climate currently, Kristen Chenoweth has been really, she has not been represented well. Let's just say that. In like politically. And it's turned a lot of people, specifically theater people, away from going to see it. I do think that is completely valid. But once you introduce that factor to it, it just like peels the onion in a new way. If you're just looking at like politics, like I am trying to strictly look at this just as like the musical as the art piece rather than like the political players of this musical. Because if we look into that, like F. Murray Abraham, like he has a very checkered, negative, bad past. So I don't want to look at it like that so much because I'm just trying to look at it as an arts piece like these critics are probably doing when they're reviewing it. But I need to see this musical. I haven't yet because one, I think it's weird that they haven't invited like all press. And maybe they have and they just left me out, which is cool, but I just feel like they haven't. I haven't heard a lot of critical reviews other than like the ones who review everything. I was surprised though. Let me say this. I've been noticing more and more that critics are not reviewing things. When you go to the Broadway Review Roundup, for example, Waiting for Godot got a ton of reviews, but Punch, also a Broadway play, maybe got like 6 reviews. And I've just been tracking that. And I was very surprised to see that The Queen of Versailles got a ton of reviews. It's just all of these much more flashy shows get way more highly reviewed. And I don't think that's necessarily fair that not everyone reviews every Broadway show. I kind of feel like every single publication should have to review every single Broadway show because then it's not apples to apples. We can't compare the reviews for Queen of Versailles to another musical like what else? Like let's see how many reviews Two Strangers gets because it's not quite as sexy of a musical as Queen of Versailles. So let's see if that gets the same amount of reviews. Chess, of course, will get 1,000 reviews. Like they will get every single review. And I just think that that's unfair. I think all Broadway shows should get the same selection of publications just so we can like apples to apples compare. Okay, Queen of Versailles got 45%, Two Strangers, knock on wood, will get really, really great reviews. 100%. Yeah. So, but I'm super excited. We have that opening night this week. And of course we have Chess. I'm very Oh, I'm very eager to see how the reviews are for Chess. I'm going to be waiting up with bated breath to see how they are because I'm nervous. Boyfriend, I'm nervous. I hope they're amazing. Our last news story, Broadway Besties. Here we come. I just feel like it's crazy. Like there's so much coming up next week. I want to talk more and more and more, but we have to save that for next week. It's just like there's so much on the horizon. I don't want From the Mezzanine to end, but it has to end. It has to end sometime. So, our last news story. It's a weird one, a shocking one, a very unexpected one to say the least. Sabrina Carpenter is headed on back to her roots, her musical roots. We all know this is where she wants to be. Not necessarily on Broadway, but aligned with a musical. Y'all know what I'm talking about? She is going to be starring in an Alice in Wonderland musical movie adaptation. I'm here for it. For one, obviously, she's a perfect Alice. She looks the part. I don't really remember much about the original movie Alice in Wonderland, which this musical will be based on. Of course, like the characters are all very iconic. I know the Queen of Hearts is like the evil woman who probably wants to kill Alice for whatever reason, but like I don't remember like the scenes of Alice in Wonderland. So I do think even though it did get a revival of sorts, the Tim Burton version, I do think it's time again for a new Alice in Wonderland. Yeah. And I'm here for it, especially with Sabrina Carpenter at the helm. And she's not only starring, but producing. And guess who's also producing? Mark Platt, of course, who is the producer of Wicked, Dear Evan Hansen, everything, Ben Platt's dad. How much money does he have? What is his net worth? Let's Google. Don't y'all love it when I live Google? No, this is 20 million. I really don't think that's true. Has an estimated net worth of 20 million? I was thinking it was going to be in the billion. Like, I feel like he is the biggest producer, but maybe that's just because he's on all of the works that I look at because he's on every single musical. Oh, and also I want to note, they have selected a director for this new movie, Lorene Scarfaria, who was the director for Hustlers, which was an Oscar-nominated movie as well. So I think this is trying to, like, be a heavy, big swing for the Oscars. I love this. I don't want the era of movie musicals to end with Wicked. Please, God, no. We can't let that happen. Like, we're almost there, and I feel like we're all going to have post-Wicked depression when it's all over and it's all out there, and I'm still really disappointed in the merch this season for Wicked. I can't stop talking about Wicked. I'm sorry. Since I'm seeing the screening, I went online. I tried to find something to wear that was Wicked merchy that wasn't totally ugly, and I couldn't find anything. Not to say everything is totally ugly, but it's like anything that I thought was cute was like $200 for a sparkly cardigan, which I just like don't have in my Wicked budget, you know? So, yeah, I am surprised that this isn't a John M. Chu original, this Alice in Wonderland, because it seems right up his alley, but I'm very happy to see a female director at the helm. And I love this. This is exciting. I can't say that I'm like the biggest Alice in Wonderland fan. I was in the musical whenever I was probably like 7 years old. I was a card, but I like really don't remember anything from that. But I'm here for it. I think it's great. I love that Sabrina Carpenter is aligning herself with the theater industry once again because I think she needs to come back. I think she definitely needs to come back to Broadway. She's the it girl of the century, but girl, come on back. You know your talents are needed on Broadway, and Broadway needs the money that you will bring in desperately. But yeah, I'm lit for this. We don't have any other information. We know that Universal Pictures is developing it, so same as Wicked. I love this. I think this is just going to be like their next venture, a la movie musicals, a la Wicked. So seems like a proper path to me, and I love it. But I also just don't have enough information to like really, wax on about it because we have no other casting news. We don't have a timeline. It could come in 5 years. Like they're basically, I think since Wicked is about to come out, they're like, now we need something else for people to talk about. And it's going to be Alice in Wonderland because we've been talking about Wicked for the past probably 10 years, a Wicked movie in development. And now it's almost all over. I have been changed for good. shall we make some Wicked predictions? Shall we just talk for a moment more about Wicked for Good? Okay. I do think my favorite song is going to be As Long As You're Mine. But I do think No Good Deed will change my entire life. I'm so eager to see how it differs from the musical in terms of Bach and Nessa. I think they're going to take some liberties, and I think they're going to take some liberties with Dorothy. Of course, we have 2 new songs. That is going to be like an out-of-body experience, hearing 2 new songs from Wicked. I'm very anxious about that, but I have trust in my heart. But I do think they will get forgotten. I don't think they will be my favorite songs. I think it's going to be kind of like The Little Mermaid, how they had 2 new songs, which were amazing. Actually, they may have had like 5 new songs, but we don't really continue listening to those. Although Uncharted Waters, can I get some commotion? The songs were good in the new Little Mermaid. But I don't think the 2 new Wicked songs are going to be life-changing. I'm so freaking excited to see the darker side of Wicked, because Wicked Part 1 was so light and fluffy and happy and airy and Ari. And it was a surprise. And now that we know what to expect, I think we're all going to be like a little more critical. I hope it's not obvious to us all why they haven't been doing such a big press tour for Wicked for Good. Like, I hope that it's not because it's not as good as Part 1. I do think it's going to be better. Honestly, just because I kind of like the dark, moody aesthetic of Wicked for Good. We know we're going to get to see Glinda and Fiyera's wedding, which I'm very lit for. Yeah, there's a lot to anticipate. Yeah, I definitely think my favorite song is going to be As Long As You're Mine. I'm going to die. I think I'll leave it there. I'm very excited. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of From the Mezzanine. If you enjoyed this episode and want a little bit more, head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/fromthemezzanine, for the Meet Me at the Stage Door episode, a little bonus moment with yours truly to probably talk about Wicked even more. Awesome. Okay, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at From the Mezzanine Broadway. You can find all things From the Mezzanine at fromthemezzanine.com. Please, 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 please leave me a rate and review wherever you are listening right now. It does such incredible things for the pod, and I appreciate it so much. Have a very wicked week, everybody, and I will see you next Tuesday. Bye!